Welcome to the Sleep Sense Show. As always, brought to you by the Sleep Sense program, where podcast listeners can get a free customized sleep plan by going to www.sleepsense.net/listen.
Hi, this is Dana. Welcome to today's show. Let me paint you a little picture here. You have said goodnight to your little sweetheart, tucked her into her toddler bed, blew her a kiss from the doorway, closed the door just a little bit, went out into the living room, sat down with your popcorn and your glass of wine, and got ready to push play on your favorite adult-only show. 5 minutes later, there's her adorable little face in the doorway, asking you for something or just staring at you very adorably. You get up off your comfy couch, you walk her back to her room, you get her whatever request she had, you tuck her back in, you blow her a kiss from the doorway, you go back to your comfy couch. 3 minutes later, there she is again. Slightly less adorable than she was the first time, still pretty darn cute, right? Fast forward 10 times later, 15 times later, she's no longer adorable at all. In fact, you are fuming. This is a very common scenario, and it's one that can really frustrate parents, is this revolving door, basically, of little ones coming out to peer at you while you're trying to enjoy your evening. Now, first of all, listen, I get it, right? There is no shame in being irritated beyond belief that someone keeps interrupting your me time, right? I get it. We all need that. That's like the most precious time of a parent's day is when you get to do, an hour or two of whatever you choose to. It's glorious, fabulous, and necessary. So when someone keeps interrupting that, it doesn't matter how cute they are and freshly bathed and in their adorable onesie pajama set, it is at some point extremely irritating. So let's just own that and honor it, and don't keep beating yourself up over the fact that this is a thorn in your side, because it should be. But I'm going to give you some tips today for fixing this, because it has a relatively easy fix, and that's the good news. All right, let's set the stage. So the first thing you need to do if you've got this scenario is set expectations. Sometimes we often assume that our little ones know exactly what we want, what is expected of them or what we want of them. And often we're not communicating clearly enough what our expectations are. So if you've got real little ones like in the 2.5 to 3 year age range, I love to get it as clear as I can so that the toddler knows every step of the bedtime routine all the way up to being kissed goodnight, see you in the morning. And you can get creative with it if you want to make a little coloring book or you want to take pictures of each stage of the routine and put that together in a little book. Or you could just walk it through with them that, we do this. You can make a little picture chart if you want to. We have a bath. We get our jammies on. We brush our teeth. We have 2 stories together. We say goodnight. We turn off the light. You stay in your bed. I see you in the morning. Right? That's what you want. So important to chat that through first and however you see fit. The next thing, I like to try to start with the positives, right, before we go to the consequence piece. But I do find that there needs to be all of this, right? You can't just do one without the other. But the first positive is a reward, right? And I have no issue with reward. I don't think you should have issue with reward. I mean, we all get rewards for the behaviors that we are the positives in our life, right? If you go to work every day, you get a paycheck. If you clean your house doesn't stink. I mean, there are rewards in everything that we do. So I don't feel like giving children a reward around a certain behavior you'd like to see show up is in any way a negative. Now, they have a shelf life, right? So you will not still be giving her a prize for staying in her bed, until she leaves home. That's not the way rewards work. They're great for just getting the ball rolling around something, right? Then eventually you kind of forget about it. She starts to forget about it. You stop mentioning it. She stops mentioning it. And often it just fades out naturally on its own. She might every once in a while go, "Hey, I haven't had my reward in a long time." And you'll go, "Oh, but you're doing so great at that particular behavior now. Let's maybe move and focus on something else, like getting your shoes on in the morning before we have to go." So you can kind of redirect the reward to whatever you want to sort of see start showing up for your child. Now, also, too, with rewards, let's be realistic about them. You're not going to give her a pony every time she stays in her bed, or trip to Disneyland or anything crazy like that, but it's got to be motivating enough that she would at least think about it. So you've got to think through what's something, that's small-ish, that will still motivate her to at least try, or even just think about the fact that she could get this thing if she stayed in her bed. Now, the trickiest part about this particular reward scenario is that the reward won't come till the morning. And that's not ideal. Rewards really work best when they're as immediate as they can possibly be, but we'll just have to work with what we've got here. So the next tip is to get some sort of indicator that morning has arrived. That could be as simple as a digital alarm clock. That's all I ever used with my kids. From the age of 2 onward, I put a little red numbered, so nothing blue or green, that will interfere with melatonin, but something red numbered, and I would duct tape over the minute number so all my child could see was the hour. And then I talked about Magic 7. Magic 7 is when we go night-night. Magic 7 is when we wake up in the morning. Nothing else occurs until you see that Magic 7. That means, yay, time to get up. Everyone's happy to see you, and off we go with our day. So you can say, listen, you need to stay in this bed until Magic 7 arrives. Then you can call for me or you can come for me. I'm going to be very happy to see you. You're going to get your prize, and we're going to start our day. Now, don't be vague about what the prize is. Don't just say you're going to get a prize, because that's not going to be great, because the child won't be able to visualize what exactly the prize is. Now, some suggestions for prize. My kids, and I know not everyone's going to agree with me, and that's fine, my kids would do just about anything for a treat the size of a Halloween candy bar, right? Or those little Halloween-sized M&Ms. My kids have an amazing sweet tooth. They're very motivated for sweets. They still are, actually, in their teens. But at the time, that was a great way to kind of get a behavior ball rolling, was to offer them treats. Now, obviously, nothing big, right? I don't want them to fill up with a whole adult-sized candy bar first thing in the morning. That doesn't make sense. But if you just have a little basket of Halloween-style treats, and you say, if you stay in your bed until 7, at 7, you can pick a treat. Now, it's small enough that it's not really going to fill the tummy, and maybe you just wait an extra half hour until you offer breakfast. But that's up to you. Other ideas are stickers. Sometimes that works. I don't love the sticker idea. You've got to have a child who is very motivated for stickers, and there's not very many 2 or 3-year-olds that are. So be careful if that's one you use. There's no amount that they need to collect. I also do not like that style of reward, that they had to get 3 stickers before they get the prize. Again, with really little ones under the age of 5, it's just not going to work. Some ideas are to get a little plastic treasure chest and fill it with things you got from the dollar store and show it to her so that she can at least see, there's some cool things in there that I'd really like to have. And then if she stays in her bed, then you would let her go to the chest and pick out a toy. So those are ideas. Hot Wheel cars, a lot of little boys love those little Hot Wheel cars. You could, again, fill up a treasure chest with those, or at least show them, hey, this is what you get if you stay in your bed. Okay, so that's great. We've got the clock, we've got the reward, we've got the expectations. Those are all super positive. Now for the consequence. This is the most important piece of this, and it's the one that most parents overlook, right? Because nobody wants to be the bad guy. Nobody wants the child to be upset. Now not only are you getting up from the couch 10 times, you've also got a sad child on your hands. I mean, I get it. But the behavior will not stop unless there is a consequence, unless you get ridiculously lucky and the reward is enough, but that's not usual. So if I'm a child and I'm coming out to visit you, 5, 10, 20, 50 times, I'm getting a lot of attention for that. Even if you're getting annoyed with me, even if you're yelling at me, even if you're getting mad at me, for most kids, they'll take attention in whichever way it shows up. If it's positive attention, awesome. If it's negative, that's okay too. It's the truth. It doesn't make sense, I get it, from an adult brain. You're thinking, why would you enjoy this? But they do. And for some kids, the angrier you get, the more they do the behavior. Again, they're looking for the boundary, they're looking for the attention, and they're getting both. So if this takes an hour. Wow, I just had basically an hour of my parents' undivided attention. That is motivating to keep this behavior up. So if you're not consequencing it, it won't stop. It just won't. Doesn't matter if you scream the house down. It's not stopping. Okay? So there has to be a consequence. Now here's my favorite consequence, and this works with almost every child. I'm not joking. It works so effectively. I love it so, so much. I call it the locking the door strategy. Now, that makes parents gasp a little bit in horror. I get it. But I promise you, we are not locking your children in their room for the night. We are just calling it that because that sounds serious. And because it sounds serious, it's now a negative consequence for a behavior. So here's how it works. You tuck in your little angel at bedtime. You blow her a kiss from the doorway. Most people, the doors open a crack or, partially closed. But even if the door is closed all of the way, this will still work, which is, I know, it doesn't make sense, but I promise it works. So your little one comes out and you say, oh, okay, that's your one warning. If you come out again, I'm going to lock your door. And she might not know what that means the first time that this happens. And that's okay, because again, it sounds serious. So you tuck her in, you leave the room. 2 minutes later, there she is again. You walk her back to her room, you put her in her bed, you walk out of the room, close the door all of the way till click. Then you hold it. Now, if she's not used to the door being closed all of the way, she's probably going to be upset and possibly at the door right on your heels, and that is okay too. You only have to hold that door closed for a couple of minutes. Now, the minutes don't really matter as long as they get longer each time the child visits you. So if you've got a super sensitive child who is not going to enjoy this, then start with 30 seconds, right? Or 1 minute. For some kids, that's enough, right? I really did not like that. I'm going to stay in my bed. If you've got a child where, you're not as concerned or they're a little less sensitive to that sort of a thing, then you might start with 2 or 3 minutes. Even 5 minutes if you really want to get this thing done. 5 minutes is a great place to start. Now, it's annoying. Yes, you've got to stand on the other side of the door for 5 minutes, and that can feel like an eternity when you're just standing there. But again, you've got to think long term, right? We got to keep our eye on the prize here, that we're going to do a little hard work now to make this situation better, right? So that in a week from now, you're sitting on that couch enjoying your wine and popcorn and show with no interruptions. And that's a beautiful thing. All right, so after, let's say, the 30 seconds of the door being closed and she's on the other side, and even if she's upset and banging on the door and all of these things, it is okay. All right, it is okay. She has the right to express her emotions in whatever way she wants to. That is her prerogative. After your wait time, you open the door to its usual position, tuck her back into the bed, and leave. Be careful about doing lots of talking here, right? We don't need to overtalk this. We don't need to say it 600 times. Our children are clever. They are very intelligent. They are very capable of understanding the things that you say. So don't be a broken record about this. You go back. If she shows up again, you take her back to her room. You lock the door now for a little bit longer than you did the first time. So if it was only a minute the first time, the second time it's 2 minutes. The third time it's 3. The fourth time it's 4, and so on. Okay? Until she stays in her bed. That is the only time this stops, is when she actually stays in that bed. Now, for some kids, this is so effective that it only takes a time or two. For other kids who are a little more strong-willed or more persistent, this might take 10 or 15 times, maybe even 20. It doesn't matter how long it takes. It only matters that you follow through, that you do this and you keep doing it until they stay in their bed. And here's the good news. The next night it will be slightly easier, and the next night slightly easier. And each night will get progressively easier until you don't even really have to give a warning anymore. She's not coming out. Now, just so I don't set you up with false expectations here, usually somewhere in the first few nights, there's a little pushback. Right? I call it night 5 regression. It usually shows up in the first 4 to 6 nights where the child goes, you know what? I'm just going to give this one last hard try to see if she will give up on this strategy. And you're back to 15 times, right? Or 20 times. And that is very, very normal. And again, you are just going to keep doing it until she stays in that bed. And know that there it is. That's that night 5 regression that Dana warned me about. You're going to keep going and things will get better from there. Now, every now and then, this is just the nature of children. It doesn't matter what we're talking about, whether we're talking about staying in your bed or getting your teeth brushed or doing your homework. It doesn't matter what we are talking about. Your child will periodically test you. Just the way it works, people, right? It's just the truth. And you might have to come back to this. Be like, hey, listen, that's your one warning. If you come out again, I'm going to lock that door. And you might have to do it for a few nights until this blows over and then she goes back to doing well with this. And this is just going to happen. All right? So keep yourself prepared for that, but you can always come back to this. It's a very easy thing to just pull out of your back pocket, basically, and do it again and do it again and do it again until, they leave home. And that is a perfect way to keep your toddler or young child in their bed at bedtime so you can have that glorious, tiny little piece of sweet, precious freedom in your day and enjoy it. Thanks so much for listening today. Sleep well.
Thanks so much for listening. For more great tips on helping your child sleep through the night, remember to subscribe, rate, and review the show on iTunes or Stitcher, and never miss an episode.